If you watched the first video in this series, you already know the three traps that collapse most retirement plans from the inside. Now I want to show you the force that is working against every retirement plan from the outside, every single day. Whether the market is up or down, whether you are spending carefully or not, it does not care how disciplined you are with your budget, it does not care how well your investments are performing. It works slowly, consistently, and permanently. And it is the single biggest threat to long term retirement security that most financial plans dramatically underestimate. That force is inflation, and what it is doing to retirement savings right now in 2026 is more serious than most people realize. Let me show you exactly what inflation actually does to retirement savings, because most people understand it in the abstract but have never seen it applied to their own specific situation. If you are spending $4,000 a month right now to cover your retirement expenses, and inflation runs at 4% annually, which is close to what it is running in 2026, in 10 years you will need $5,900 a month to buy exactly the same things you are buying today. Same groceries, same utilities, same healthcare, same lifestyle. Nearly $2,000 more per month just to stand still. And in 15 years, that same lifestyle costs $7,100 a month. Not because you decided to spend more, not because your lifestyle expanded, simply because inflation kept doing what inflation does every single year without exception. Now, here's the part that makes this specifically dangerous for retirees in a way it is not dangerous for people who are still working. When you are still employed and inflation rises, your income has at least some chance of rising with it through raises, promotions, or cost of living adjustments. When you are retired and drawing from a fixed pool of savings, your income is largely fixed while your costs are not. You are withdrawing money on one end while inflation erodes its purchasing power on the other, and you are doing both simultaneously every single month for potentially 25 or 30 years. That is not a temporary squeeze you wait out. That is the permanent mathematical condition of retirement that your plan has to be specifically designed to survive. If this series is giving you information you have not been getting anywhere else, subscribe to this channel right now. Every single week, I post content built specifically for people over 60 who want real, honest retirement guidance, not watered down generic advice designed for someone 30 years younger. This channel was created for you. Subscribe now, and you will not miss the third and final video in this series, where I give you the complete action plan for everything we are covering. Let me give you the specific numbers on what inflation is doing right now in 2026, because the current environment makes this more urgent than it has been in several years. General inflation is running at close to 4% annually, the fastest pace in recent years, driven heavily by rising energy costs, persistent food price increases, and housing costs that refuse to come down meaningfully in most markets. But for retirees specifically, the more important number is medical inflation, which is running at 5 to 7% annually. Healthcare is the spending category that grows fastest and most consistently in retirement, and it is growing at nearly double the rate of general inflation. That means even if you planned carefully for general inflation, your healthcare budget is being eroded at a rate your plan almost certainly did not fully account for. Here is a concrete example of what this looks like over a real retirement timeline. Imagine someone who retires at 65 with $1 million saved, withdrawing $40,000 per year at the standard 4% rate. In year one, everything works. But if their expenses grow at 4% annually and their portfolio only grows at 6% before withdrawals, by year 20, their annual withdrawal needs have grown to $87,000 to maintain the same lifestyle, while their portfolio has been significantly drawn down by 2 decades of withdrawals. The math is not catastrophic if the plan anticipated this, but for someone who entered retirement assuming $40,000 a year would always be enough, the reality of year 20 is a genuine financial crisis that built itself slowly over 2 decades of perfectly normal retirement living. So what actually protects retirement savings from inflation over a long retirement? There are 4 specific strategies that consistently work, and I want to give you all 4 with enough detail that you can actually apply them to your own situation this week. The first is keeping a meaningful portion of your retirement savings invested in assets that grow faster than inflation over time. This is the part that makes a lot of retirees uncomfortable because it means staying invested in the market even after you stop working, which feels risky when you are no longer earning income to replace potential losses. But the alternative, moving entirely to cash or low yield bonds, guarantees that inflation will steadily destroy your purchasing power over a long retirement. The goal is not maximum growth, it is growth that exceeds inflation consistently enough to preserve what your money can actually buy over 20 or 25 years. For most retirees, this means keeping somewhere between 40 and 60% of their portfolio in diversified equities, not concentrated in individual stocks, but spread across broad market index funds that have historically outpaced inflation over long periods. The second strategy is building specific inflation protection into your income sources. This means understanding which of your income streams have built in inflation adjustments and which do not. Government benefits like Social Security in the United States and equivalent programs in Canada and the United Kingdom typically include some form of annual cost of living adjustment, which makes them among the most inflation resistant income sources a retiree can have. Pensions from private employers often do not include these adjustments, which means a pension that feels generous at retirement can lose significant purchasing power over a 20-year retirement if inflation consistently outpaces it. Knowing which of your income sources are inflation protected and which are not tells you exactly where your vulnerability is and where you need to compensate with your savings strategy. The third strategy is the one most people resist, but that has a more immediate impact on retirement security than almost anything else. Controlling the one spending category that is both large and somewhat flexible, which is housing. For retirees in high-cost areas, the single most powerful financial move available is often right-sizing their housing, not necessarily moving across the country, but moving to a less expensive home in a lower-cost area frees up equity that can be reinvested as an inflation hedge, while simultaneously reducing the monthly costs that inflation is pushing higher. States and regions with no income tax on retirement income, lower property taxes, and lower overall cost structures give the same retirement income dramatically more purchasing power, which is the functional equivalent of having significantly more saved without having to save anything additional. The fourth strategy is reviewing and adjusting your withdrawal rate at least once per year, based on actual market performance and actual inflation numbers, not the ones you assumed when you first retired. The 4% rule is a guideline, not a guarantee, and it was built on historical averages that may not perfectly match your current market conditions or your specific life expectancy. In years when the market performs well above average, staying at 4% or even pulling back slightly builds a buffer. In years when the market underperforms, reducing withdrawals even modestly by moving some discretionary spending to a future period can extend the life of your portfolio by years. The retirees who run out of money are almost always the ones who treated their withdrawal rate as fixed, regardless of what was happening around them. The ones who stay solvent are the ones who treated it as a variable they actively managed. In the third and final video of this series, I am going to bring everything together with the complete retirement fix, the specific action plan for protecting your savings, managing your withdrawals, and building a retirement that lasts as long as you do. Make sure you are subscribed because that video is the one that turns everything we have covered in this series into a step-by-step plan you can actually follow starting this week. Drop a comment right now telling me which inflation category is hitting your retirement budget the hardest right now: groceries, healthcare, housing, or energy. I read every single comment, and your answers directly shape what I cover next. And if you are not subscribed yet, this is the moment. New videos every single week built specifically for people over 60 who are serious about protecting their retirement.